children, how are you? I hope you all are doing well and studying well. So children, we've already spoken about the different types of living things, non-living things. We've spoken about animals, we've spoken about plants. Now we are going to talk about the birds. Have you seen the birds? How beautiful they are. So let's talk about the birds. Their beak, claws and nest. Alright. So here we are going to learn about different habitats of birds, different body parts of birds, shapes, sizes and importance of beaks of different birds, claws and their importance for birds, birds nesting and caring of young ones. Alright. So when you look at a bird, what do you think? It's a beautiful creature, isn't it? So birds are beautiful feathered animals. Birds live in almost every habitat of the earth. Our world has a variety of birds, but all of them have some common feature. All the birds have one beak, two eyes, two wings, two legs with claws on each foot, and their bodies, they are covered with feathers. Now birds have hollow bones which help them to fly. Okay. So in this chapter we will discuss some of these details in detail. Okay. So children, what do you mean by hollow? Hollow means they are not so heavy, they are light weighted. Okay. And because they have lightweight bones, they are able to fly in the sky. Alright. Now every bird, although all the birds, they may look different from outside, but there are certain characteristics or certain features that are same for all birds, like they have one beak, two eyes, two wings, two legs with claws on each foot, and their bodies, they are covered with feathers. Alright. Now birds are the animals that have feathers and they can be found on almost every part of the earth, isn't it? So we can find them on trees, like birds like parrots, sparrow, pigeon, they are on trees. We can find them on land like ostrich, emu, and we can also find them near water bodies like lakes, ponds and seas, like you can see pelican, ducks, cranes in these different parts. Alright. Now children, if you must have observed here, these birds which are on land, okay, ostrich and emu, they are heavy birds. And because they have the characteristics of birds, so the only difference is that they are heavy, and that is the reason why they cannot fly. Okay. Now body parts of a bird. So birds have beak, they have eyes, they have a pair of wings and a tail. The ears, okay, the ears, they are present behind each eye. Okay. So behind the eye are the ears. There is a tiny opening on the beak. So if you look at the beak, there is a tiny opening. So this opening which is there, that's the place through which the birds breathe. Okay. Birds also have a pair of legs with claws. Alright. Now let's talk about the feathers. The bodies of birds, they are covered with feathers which make them beautiful and serve other purposes too. The flight feathers, they are long and flat. These include tail and wing feathers. They help to fly. So the entire body of the birds is covered by feathers. Now these feathers are very beautiful, okay, and they serve other purposes too. Now what are these other purposes? If you think about it, they are the ones that protect them also from the harsh weather conditions. Okay. Now among these feathers, there are flight feathers. What do you understand by flight feathers? They are long, they are flat, okay, and these include tails also. On the tail also there is a feather, like, okay, the feathery tail is there, and tail and wing feathers, okay, there are wings and there is a tail. Now this helps the birds to fly, and that's why they are known as the flight feathers. Now there are down feathers. What do you understand by down? Now these down feathers, they are soft, they are fluffy, okay, but they keep the body of the bird warm, okay, and these are present under the flight feathers. So outside you see the flight feathers and inside it is known as the down feathers. They are the soft and fluffy area which protects the bird from weather conditions. Okay, they keep the body warm. All right, now flight of birds. Let's talk about the flight of birds. Most of the birds, they fly. They have some feathers that help them to fly. Birds have light boat-shaped body with strong hollow framework of bones. Birds have well-developed wings with strong muscles. These muscles move the wings up, down, forward or backward. The tail helps to change the direction while flying. Some birds like hens, peacocks, etc. can fly only short distances because of their heavy bodies. Birds like pigeons, swallows, crows, etc. they can fly long distances. Eagles, vultures, kites, etc. fly at great height. So, most of the birds, we know that they fly, okay, and they fly because of the features that they have, okay, which are well adapted to fly in the air. Like they have light boat-shaped body, okay, and the framework of the bones is, as I said in the beginning, it is strong but hollow, okay. They have well developed wings. The wings are very well developed. They have strong muscles, okay, and these muscles help the wings in the movement, okay, moving up, down, forward, backward. All this movement is taken control by the muscles, okay. Now the tail which is there, it helps in the changing of the direction while flying, okay. Now as I said, there are certain birds which have a heavy body and they cannot fly, okay. So they have the other features, but because of the heaviness they cannot fly, or they fly only short distances, maybe like the peacock or the hens, okay, they can climb up till a short tree or a tree, okay, but they cannot go beyond it, okay. Now eagles, vultures and all, if you see, they soar very high up in the sky, isn't it? All right, now let's talk about the movement of the wings. Birds fly by flapping their wings, okay, they flap the wings. A bird's wings have two types of movement. Upstroke, okay, in this movement the wings are open. When it's an upstroke, the wings are open. They move upward and backward. Downstroke, during this movement, the wings are closed because it's a downstroke, it's a downward movement, and they move downward and forward. So when the birds are flying, you will see that their wings are open, okay, and they are going in the upward direction, all right. However, when they are coming down, okay, you will see that slowly and gradually the wings start folding, okay, and closing. Now you have to do an activity. You can see variety of birds around you. You can also visit a zoo, okay. You have to observe the birds carefully and write their name, color and the food that they eat. Note your observation in a table. So this is the activity that you have to do, okay. You can either visit the zoo or take any example of birds that are around your house, and then you can write about your observations. Now let's talk about the beaks of birds. Beaks, they are also known as bill, okay. They help the birds in many ways. Now these beaks are helpful in many ways, okay. Birds use their beak, okay. So let's take for example the parrots, okay. The type of beak that they have is sharp, hard and curved beak, and it is used for cracking nuts and hard fruits, okay. Now the beaks of eagle and vulture, okay, it is strong, sharp and hooked, okay. The shape of the beak is like that of a hook, okay, and it helps them to tear the flesh. Now sparrow and pigeon, okay, they have short, hard and horny beak, okay, which helps them to eat grains and seeds. Woodpecker, it has strong, hard and chisel shaped, okay. Now what what does it help them to do? It helps it to make holes in the bark of trees and digging out insects. So, the woodpecker is always constantly hitting or pecking the tree with its beak, okay, and is trying to make a hole for himself, which is to stay inside and also to dig out the insects. Alright. Now, swallow. The bird swallow has broad and short beak. Okay. It helps it to trap insects while flying. So, because of this characteristic, it is able to trap the insect while flying. Hummingbird and hoopoe. Okay. They have long, thin and slender beak, and it helps them to suck nectar from flowers. Alright, duck. Have you looked at a duck? What type of beak it has? It has broad and flat beak. Okay. It helps for digging mud under water and to filter muddy water. So, it helps in digging out the mud, okay, from underwater, and it filters the muddy water. Okay. Now, what are the other features for which beaks are useful? Okay, for gathering, catching and eating food, for feeding their babies, for building nests. What happens is they collect the twigs or sticks, okay, in their beak, and then they gather them, and slowly and gradually they build their nest, okay, one by one stick at a time or 2 sticks at a time, and that's how they build their nest, okay. Then, to protect themselves from enemies, okay, so if there is any enemy, they can peck, okay, that enemy with their beaks. Now, beaks of different birds are of different shapes and sizes depending on the food, okay, the birds eat. Alright. Now, let's talk about the feet and claws. Birds use their feet and claws for catching prey, walking, to protect themselves from enemies, for climbing, wading, etc. Just like beaks, they are of different kinds. So, let's talk about the different feet and claws that the birds have. Okay. So, wading birds crane. Okay. Their claws, they spread out toes with long legs. Okay. That's how their claws are. Okay. They are like spread out toes with long legs. Used for wading through muddy water without getting wet. Okay. Wading as in walking through the muddy water without getting wet. Now, swimming birds duck. Okay. They have webbed feet. Their feet are webbed. Okay. They are all joined to each other. Okay. 3 toes in front and 1 toe at the back. The front toes are joined by skin called web. Okay. The skin in between the toes or webs, okay, it helps them to push water back while swimming. So, that's how the legs or the claws are used. Okay. Now, for the flesh eating eagles, okay, their claws are strong, sharp and curved claws, which help them to catch and hold their prey firmly. Okay. Perching bird sparrow. They have slender claws with 3 toes in front and 1 at the back, okay, and it helps them to grip into the branch of the tree firmly and strongly by, okay. It gives them a grip on the branches. Now, scratching bird's hen. 3 long toes in front and 1 short toe at the back. Each toe has a sharp horny claw, okay. Now, what does it help them to do? It helps them to scratch the ground, okay. They scratch on the ground to get the seeds or the buried seeds which are there in the ground. Now, climbing birds parrot. They have 2 toes pointing towards upward and downward direction, alright. Now, what do they help them to do? They help them to climb and cling onto the trees, alright. So, these are the different types of claws. Now, let's talk about the nests of birds, okay. Just like we stay in a house, where do the birds live? They live in their nest, okay. So, birds, they build nests to lay eggs. They build nests in places that are safe from bad weather and enemies. A nest is a cozy and safe place for eggs made by different materials like twigs, dry leaves, paper, feathers, wool, etc. by the birds. So, they use different things to make their nest. Okay? It can be twigs, dry leaves, paper, feather, wool, okay, sticks. Alright, now nests are of different shape and sizes. Let us study different types of nests that different birds make. Okay? So, the tailor bird, it uses its beak like a needle for sewing leaves with thread and wool. So, it has a feature in its beak, okay, that helps it to sew the nest, okay, and it helps them to sew the leaves with thread and wool. Okay. The weaver bird weaves its beautiful and strong nest with grass and twigs. The nest hangs from the branch of a tree. The bird enters its home through a tunnel-like opening at the bottom of the nest. So, that's how the nest of the weaver bird is. Okay, it's strong, it's beautiful, it has grass, it has twigs on it. Okay, it hangs from the tree branch, and okay, it has an opening at the bottom of the nest. Now, the woodpecker, it drills a hole in the bark of a tree with its beak. The bird uses this hole as nest by lining it with chips of wood. Okay, so that's how the woodpecker does. It starts pecking. Okay, it pecks the tree, makes a hole in the bark of a tree. Okay, and then it uses it as its nest. Okay, and it lines it up with chips of wood. Now, the tailor bird sews the large sized leaves to make a nest. It uses its beak like a needle to stitch the leaves together using material like thread and wool. This is why it is called the tailor bird. Just like the tailor sews our clothes, this tailor bird sews its nest. Okay. The vulture and the eagle, they make their nest by putting together a few sticks. The shape of the nest is of a shallow cup. Okay. The penguin, it collects a few pebbles and stones to make its nest on the ground. Now, let's look at the nest of some other birds. Okay. Hummingbirds, they build tiny nests and line them with spider webs. Some birds like house sparrows like to make its nest in a protected hole or cavity. Okay. Now, hummingbirds are very small, and that's why they build tiny nest. Okay, and then they line it up. That means they cover it up with a spider web. Okay. Now, no nest. You know, these birds, cuckoos, okay, they do not build any nest. They lay their eggs in the nest of other birds. They are very lazy. They do not lay their own, they do not make their own nest. They lay the eggs in the nest that are built by the other birds. Okay. So, they lay the eggs there, and those eggs are then taken care of by the other birds. Alright. Now, caring for the young ones. Most birds take good care of their eggs and babies. The mother bird sits on the eggs to give the necessary warmth. Once the eggs hatch, the parents guard their babies carefully against danger like bad weather and enemies. The parent birds feed the young ones, and then they look after them till their feathers grow. As they learn to fly and the family moves away from the nest. So, the parents stay with the young ones only until they start learning to fly by themselves. Once they fly by themselves, then okay, the parents do not stay with their babies. Alright? Now, activity. You have to make a model nest. Take mud, straw, grass, twigs and sticks and try to make a strong and cozy nest. Place it on a low branch of a tree with the help of an adult. Okay. Place the round stones in it to present like eggs. Okay. So, I hope children you followed this chapter, and now you know about the birds. There are different types of beaks, the claws they have, the nest that they have. Alright. So, let's do a quick revision. Birds are the only animals with feathers. Birds have different feeding habitat. Okay, they have different habits of feeding. Beaks of birds are of different shapes and sizes depending upon the kind of food a bird eats. Different birds have different types of feet and claws. The special body feature of birds help them to fly. But flying birds have boat-shaped body, strong muscles, hollow bones and flight feathers. Birds build nests to lay eggs. Baby birds are looked after by their parents. Alright, now let us evaluate you all by doing the exercises. Okay, multiple choice questions, MCQs. Tick the correct option. Which of the following birds cannot fly? Sparrow, ostrich, crane or hummingbird? It is the ostrich. But it can run really fast. It is the fastest running bird. Which of these is not a perching bird? Okay, sparrow, duck, manna or crow? It is duck. Okay. Which of the following birds make nest with stones and pebbles? Eagle, pigeons, penguins or kite? It is the penguins. Flesh-eating birds have claws that are sharp, strong, webbed, slender and curved, broad and horny. Okay. So, they have sharp and strong claws to hold the prey. Alright. Now, fill in the blanks. The bird's body is dash shaped. So, the bird's body is boat shaped. A bird uses dash and dash to protect itself from enemies. So, what does it use? It uses beaks and claws. Dash and dash are water birds. Okay. Which of these are water birds? Duck and crane. Okay. The tailor bird uses its beak to sew leaves to make its nest. Dash feathers keep the body of the bird warm. Which are the feathers? The down feathers. Alright. Now, an eagle can fly at a great height. True or false? Absolutely true. Bird's body has strong muscles and heavy bones. It is false. Okay. They have hollow bones. In downstroke movement, the wings are open. False. In downstroke, the wings are closing. Alright. So, we are talking about the beak of swallow. Swallow has the beak which are broad and short. Alright. So, now the next one. So, this answer is false. Okay. Now, woodpecker pecks with its beak to make hole in the tree. Absolutely true. Alright. Now, match the following. Okay. So, you have to match the claws and beaks of eagle, pigeon and duck. Alright. So, this is the exercise that you have to do. Name the following birds. Okay. So, here let us do this first. Okay. Eagle. Okay. So, eagle is the first picture of the eagle. Okay. Now, you have to match the claws. It is the second one. Okay. Pigeon. Okay. So, the pigeon has the third type of claws and duck has the first one which is the webbed feet. Okay. Okay. Now, name the following birds. A bird with chisel-like beak, it's of the woodpecker. A bird with curved beak, okay, parrot. Alright. A bird that builds tiny nest and lines it with spider web, tiny nest, hummingbird. Okay. A bird that scratches the floor for insects. Okay. It's the hen. A bird that uses its claw to cling to the branch of a tree. Okay. So, we can say the pigeon. Alright. Now, strike the odd one out. Eagle, vulture, kite, cuckoo. It's the cuckoo. Alright. Dry leaves, cotton, wire or paper. So, what is used? The dry leaves, wire and paper are used for building nest. Boat shape, heavy bones, strong muscles, feathers. Heavy bones is the odd one. It has to be hollow bones. Cuckoo, eagle, woodpecker, tailor. Okay, cuckoo. Cuckoo does not build its own nest. Alright. Now, short answer questions. What are the different types of feathers birds have? The different types of feathers that the birds have are down feathers and the up feathers. Alright. Now, these feathers have different types of qualities in them. Alright. So, let us talk about the feathers of the flight feathers. okay, the down feathers of them. The flight feathers are long, they are flat, okay, they have tails and wing feathers on that, and they help to fly. Down feathers are soft and fluffy, and they help to keep the body of the bird warm. Alright. So, I hope children you will elaborate this answer and write it in detail. Alright. Now, the second one. Name 2 different types of movements of birds that help them to fly. So, the different movements are the upward movement and the downward movement. Okay. Now, what kinds of beaks do grain eating birds have? The grain eating birds have the beaks that help them to dig into the soil. So, what are the characteristics that these ones have? Okay. So, these birds, they have the beak which help them to dig the grains and seeds from the soil. So, they have short, hard and horny beak. Alright. Now, so the next question. Why do birds make nests? The birds make nests to protect, to lay eggs and to protect their young ones from different weather conditions and enemies. Okay. How are crane's claws different from duck's claws? So, the crane's claws which are there, they have this long, and the claws help them to fix themselves into muddy water and also walk on them, okay, so that they do not get soaked inside the water, okay, they don't sink inside the water, okay, that is how their claws are made, okay. So, when we look at them, the claws of this, they have wading, they can wade through the muddy water and they cannot get wet, okay, whereas the ducks, okay, their claws which are there, they are made in such a manner that the skin in between the toes, that is the web, it helps them to push water back while swimming. So, their claws are used for pushing back the water while they are swimming in the water. Alright. Now, long answer questions. How parrot's curved beak is helpful to it? So, parrot's curved beak, it helps it to hold the food that they eat. It can be an insect, it can be chilies, okay, it helps them to hold it properly, okay, or to perch on the trees. How does a tailor bird and the weaver bird make their nest? The tailor bird, it uses its beak, okay, which is like a needle, to sew the leaves, okay, and thread and the wool, okay. Now, it also sews large size leaves and it makes a nest, okay. It uses its beak like a needle to stitch it, okay, and that is the reason why it is known as the tailor bird. The weaver bird, it views its beautiful and strong nest with grass and twigs, okay. The nest hangs from the branch of a tree. The bird enters its home through a tunnel like opening at the bottom of the nest. So, this is the difference between the nests that are built by the tailor bird as well as the weaver bird. Write a few lines on how birds take care of their young ones. So, the birds, they build a nest, okay, they lay eggs in it, they sit on the eggs until they are hatched and the babies come out, okay. They feed the babies and take care of them until the birds start learning to fly, okay, and gather their own food. How are beaks useful to birds? Beaks are useful for birds in various manners depending on the type of birds that they are, and they help them to gather their food, okay, they help them to protect them from the enemies. So, there are different types of beaks which help the birds, okay. So, they also help them to gather their food, they help them to catch the food, okay, they help to eat the food, then for feeding the babies, for building nest, okay, to protect themselves from enemies also, okay. So, these different types of beaks help the birds in different manners. They also help them to dig inside the soil to remove the insects from the soil and eat them, alright. So, these are the characteristics of different types of beaks, okay. List the special features of the birds that help them in the flying process, okay. So, what are the special features that help them to fly? Okay, they have feathers all over their body, Okay, their body is boat shaped, they have hollow bones and they have strong muscles which help them to fly up in the air. So, those birds which have heavy bodies are the birds that they cannot fly. Okay. Now, life skills. How can you feed birds in and around your house? So, what you can do is you can keep some food in a small bowl, okay, like grains or any other type of, and you can also keep water for them, and then they come and they can peck it. Okay. If you see that a pigeon or some other bird is making nest in your house, how would you react? So, how would you react if any bird is making a nest? This is your own answer. Alright. Now, let's do something new. Take the chicks to their mother. Okay. So, this is the puzzle that you have to solve. Collect feathers of different sizes, shapes and colors and make greeting cards or make a collage using them. Explore. Observe the adjoining picture. Have you seen a bird sitting like this? Why does a bird do so? In which season does a bird prefer to do this? Alright, so children, you have to find information about this, but before you find the information, quickly reread the chapter. Alright, look at all the different types of beaks, learn it, learn the different types of claws, the different features of the feathers, and then do all the exercises and then get on to this activity. So, get going children.